we're going to move along to our next speaker. You heard from her yesterday on finding contacts, but one thing she's really good about, and you kind of saw this in the finding contacts, is establishing a system, a weekly system to track. You know, Peter Drucker says that you can't manage what you can't measure. So you got to be able to measure your activity, see if you're hitting your points and fulfilling your DMO, helping other people measure their activity. So she's going to go through what her plan is to do her weekly action plan with herself and her team, and how she runs incentives to encourage people to fill that out and take the appropriate activities and actions to build their business week in and week out. So please welcome back to the stage Growth 25 member, Emerald Director, Lindsay Hardig.
Which one is it? I'll try this one. Hi, y'all. Are you hungry yet? No? Can you hang in there a little longer? Because this is going to be great practical information that you're going to be able to apply, and doing this has really helped me take my business to the next level. So, no pun intended, but, you know, we are at next level. So that's where we want to go, right? Right? All right, let's see if there's 2 clickers. Let's see if I got the right one. Did it work? Yay! So, all of us have a dream, and we always, you know, it's great to dream. And how many of you have a vision board in here? I'm not going over vision board, but how many of you have one? If you don't, you should have one. But a lot of times we dream, but we're not getting into action. You know, well, I wish I had this. We can't wish, we have to do and put this into action. So today I'm going to show you how to make a plan, right, and how to hit that target. So I showed y'all some pictures of my kids. This is one of my favorite pictures of them. This was in North Carolina at Ocean Isle Beach, and we go there every summer with my in-laws, so Tim's family. Y'all meet Tim later this afternoon. So we go there. But when I started my business, one of my dreams was to actually go on vacations without our parents. Yay! So I wanted to travel, and typically, you know, we take vacations, but our parents are always there with us, and which is awesome, and we still do that. And so to make that happen, I had to figure out, you know, how can I do that? And so these are some trips we've been able to take. When my husband and I got married, we went to Mexico on our honeymoon, and I remember my son, so I don't know if y'all saw the picture of my son yesterday, but he's almost 6'4", and he's 15. Like, he's so big and tall, and he loves to eat food. I mean, loves food. So when all he cared about was, I want to go to Mexico to one of those all-you-can-eat places and eat food. And I'm like, well, we could just go down to the Golden Corral. It's like right down the street, and we could eat food a lot cheaper there. But I told them every time they'd be like, I'd be working, and I do try to balance, you know, as a mom, you got to learn how to balance and make sure your kids don't feel like you're always on the phone. I did struggle with that in the beginning, but I was always like, we're going to go to Mexico, and we're going to eat a lot of food, you know. So again, we were able to go to Mexico. We took them to Mexico, and that was one of my dreams. And so I want you to think about those dreams that you have and really make that vision board. But you have to have the vision and the plan to put it into action. So Chris did a great job talking about acting like a CEO and, you know, making sure that you're the one responsible. Today I'm going to go over the weekly action plan. And the great news is that we are providing this tool for you, so you'll be able to log into your Next Level You account, and anyone who has a pass on your team. So if you haven't purchased that value pack, I would definitely get that, because there's a tool that you'll be able to download, and I'm going to walk you through that today. Okay, so you'll log in, you'll see tools, and then you'll get the weekly action plan there. So make sure that you do this, and I'm going to show you exactly how I've used it, how you should use it, and implement it with your team also if you're a leader. We're going to talk about income-producing activities, what to focus your time on. I am really good at doing non-income producing activities. I love to talk on the phone. We'll be like 5 minutes, Sarah, 5 minutes, and it's like 2 hours later. We're still talking on the phone, which is great too. We got to have relationships. And then the compound effect of the small decisions that you're making every day, okay? So that's what we're going to go over. So I'm not going to spend much time on this because Chris did a great job, but just act like the CEO, be professional, because when you treat your business like a business, it's going to grow like a business. And when you treat it like a hobby, you know, you're going to see hobby results. And I want you to write down right now on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you treating your business? So hobby being 0 and 10 being business. And if you want it to be a hobby, that's fine too. That might not be your goal, right? You might just want the little barn Lego thing. You might not want the Princess Castle, and that's okay. But if you want to have a business and you want to grow a 6-figure income, and you see yourself that way already, like Jordan talked about, where do you see yourself on a scale of 0 to 10? So a lot of times, how many of you in here overanalyze things? Maybe you think a lot about stuff before you put it into action, right? Yes. And that can be good because you're probably more organized. I'm typically the one that's like, I have an idea and I just start doing it and I'm like, oh my gosh, why did I just tell people I was going to do that? But then you got to figure it out, right? That's kind of my personality. And so that actually can be a strength, but sometimes when we overthink things, it's the enemy of keeping us from getting into action. So you want to make a plan, do your plan, review your results and get better, and repeat, right? If you're an entrepreneur, you've got to get into action. So the true entrepreneur is a doer and not just a dreamer. So you need to set up your workspace. It's very important to have a workspace. I used to be like, I stay at home. I can stay in my pajamas. I'll just work in bed. I'll just be like in my pajamas on my computer. And the room where we had our office, I don't know what, but they added it onto our house. So it's not insulated well, so it's like freezing in the winter and hot in the summer. So I would just never go in there because it was just never the right temperature. So what I did is I realized that I liked to be, so I set up a workplace. I have a desk now in my bedroom, and I work in there. And so I made sure that I had a place where I was going to work. So you need to have a workspace. And then you're going to schedule your week every weekend. So on Saturday or Sunday, you're going to use this weekly action plan and start scheduling your week. And then what I recommend doing is taking a picture. We used to want to like upload it, email it, and again, the more complicated you make things for your team, they're not going to do it. So I was just like, take a screenshot with your phone of your weekly action plan and then just send it to me. Because how many of you, when you have accountability in your life, you're more likely to do something, right? So with my team, what I did last year, when I went Emerald, it was because one, I had attended Next Level U, yay, and two, I went to Sweet Retreat after that. And it was like a light bulb went off in my head, and I'm like, we've got to use that weekly action plan. And I've got to get not just me, but I've got to get my team to use that weekly action plan. And so I came back and I said, let's do an incentive. And so basically what I told them is if you do your weekly action plan, you're going to get a certain amount of points for actually just doing it, okay? And so I wanted to make sure that they sent me their weekly action plan so I could see it, but I also wanted it to send them to their sponsor as well, so that I want my leaders to step up and become leaders. Does that make sense? So they sent it to me and they sent it to their sponsor. So it might have been Sarah or Kathy or somebody else on my team. And then I recorded their points, and then I gave away gift cards, fun things that girls like, if it was for the girls. And I gave away gift cards to them just for doing their weekly action plan. And then if they were like on the top PC list, I gave them extra points for that, like 5 points, right? So you can do incentives like that to motivate your team. And then I ran it through convention, and then there was a grand prize for the biggest winner. And during that time, we grew so much. We added so many people to our team, and I rank advanced to Emerald as well. So it was focusing on getting everybody into action. So let's go over the weekly action plan. This is the tool you're going to download, so it looks like the thing I screenshot there. Okay, that's what it looks like. It's just one page. Very simple. It's not for you to plan your kids' school activities on. Just get another calendar for that. This is just like your business. So you're going to print 52 copies. I used to use this, and I would just print off like one at a time, and then I couldn't find it, just like my contact list, right? So what I did is I just went to Walgreens. I've got a southern accent this morning. It's like coming out strong. So I went to, sometimes, there you go. Y'all like it? You like it? You like it? Okay. So I went to Walgreens, and I got to stop. Okay. I went to Walgreens and got a binder, just one of those school binders, right? Like you're in school, a big one. And then our printer was broken last year, so I was like, honey, can you print off 52 copies of that for me? So he's like, sure. So he printed off 52 copies of the weekly action plan. So what is 52 a year, right? 52 weeks in a year. So one for every week. Yay, we're smart. And then I got a hole punch. I've never really owned a 3-hole punch. So I got one of those. They're like $6. They're not expensive. So get a hole punch, and then punch holes in all of those and put them in the binder. Y'all got the picture? You got a binder? And that way, and I'm going to tell you why this is so important. Because I have my weekly action plans from last year. And so I can go back. If I'm like on a Saturday or Sunday, I'm like, I don't even know who to contact. I can't think of who to call right now. How many of you sometimes in the week, you're like, I know I need to do something, but I just can't think of anybody to like reach out to or follow up with, right? So you can go back to the week before or the month before or the year before, and you can see what you were doing that week, and then you can go, oh my gosh, I totally forgot to follow up with Nancy. We never actually connected. And so that'll help you in planning your next week. So that's why it's so important to put all these into a binder and print them off so you'll have them and you'll be able to refer. Does that make sense? Okay. So now we're going to go through, and I actually told you what to do. Get the binder, hole punch them, and then put them in there, okay? So you have no excuses. Now, weekly action plan. So I'm breaking each section down for you. I'm going to have to kind of look at my slides so I know what I'm doing here. But the top part is going to be the week ending. So that would be like today, actually. No, that's yesterday. What's today? Saturday? We kind of lose track of time when we're at events. That was yesterday. So yesterday was January 27th, and so you would put the week ending for the Friday, because then you saw our weeks end on Friday, and they start on Saturday. Does that make sense? Okay, so that's your week ending, and then you're going to do your CVP goal for the week. So that would be how much money do you want to make this week. Now, be realistic. So if you just got started in this business, don't be like, my goal is to make $1,000 next week, okay? You've got to be realistic, and I would work with your sponsor on that. Like, what's a realistic goal? And don't be afraid. Sometimes I think we're afraid to set goals that are stretching us, and so then you might be too realistic where you're not even challenging yourself. It's okay to not hit your goal, and I would rather you set it higher but realistic and not hit it, because you're going to find that you'll reach it, okay? But a lot of us are afraid of failing, too. So we're like, well, if I set a goal that's a little bit too high, well, then I'm not going to hit it, and then I'm going to feel bad about myself. So you want to stretch it a little bit, but also be realistic. Then you're going to put your starting CVP. So maybe you started at 150 CVP, and then what you actually ended up as. And so you might start seeing a trend like, well, maybe my goal's too high, and I'm never really hitting it, so I probably need to lower that goal a little bit, or maybe I need to increase it because I'm actually hitting it every week, all right? So the second thing is your power hours. We make time for what we schedule, right? And what's important. And if you really want to do well in this business, you've got to do something every single day. I work with a lot of moms. All of us are busy. We can make excuses. Like, I have a mom here. She just had her 5th child 8 weeks ago, and she's here. Yes, she's here. Lindsay, is she back there? So, she's walking around with Cole. But she's here. And her husband came and brought some of the kids, I think the other 2. She's got a lot of kids. But she's here. And so we make time for what's important. And you've got to schedule those hours. And if you schedule those hours with yourself, just like going to the gym or doing something else or scheduling that one-on-one time with your kids, which is important too, then you're going to do your business. So I just put in some things that might look like a typical day for me. So Saturday, family day. Actually, my son just won his 7th grade basketball championship. Yay! Just got the picture in the text with his little trophy. I'm like, woohoo, competitive family. And then, Monday, I put I'm going to work from 9 to 12 in the morning. So no excuses. Like, I wrote that down. I'm committing that time. And then maybe at night we have a one-body training call, so I'm going to write in my training call. Tuesday, maybe 9 to 12. You can see I'm working when my kids are in school, and I try to spend that time with them at night. Sometimes I'll work at night after they're asleep. Wednesday, I don't know what I wrote, 9 a.m. appointment. I actually had an appointment last week. And then 10 to 12, Florida, I'm at Next Level U. So write in your activities and what you're doing, and then you can actually see if you're working or not. And then your top goals and personal development. So this is really important. And your top goals need to be actually things that I think personally for me need to be something you're actually doing. So my top goals this week would be, okay, this is going off, I did this intentionally. So this is going off of what I taught y'all yesterday. So maybe your goals this week, some of you might be, I'm going to create a customer Facebook group this week. Write it down and check it off. We love to check things off our list. But doing 3 is very doable. If you write 15 things down, you're probably not going to do them. So create a customer Facebook group. Put my customers into an email group. Train my team how to use the weekly action plan. I'm going off all my talks. And then personal development. Read 1 chapter a day in this book. Actually talk about the book you're writing. And that way your sponsor can see what you're doing too. Get on a team training call. So whatever those goals are, write those down. And then this is actually really good to help your team, especially if you're new, to help you learn our compensation plan and how to read the business centers. And it'll help you understand where you should place your customers and also where you should place your associates. And so this is actually a really good training tool. Again, why it's so important to send your weekly action plan to your sponsor. So you can write in on each business center leg what your starting SVP is. Yes, your sales volume points. Why are we struggling with that? I don't know. So you're starting SVP on each business center, and then what you ended up as. And this is just a really good training tool. And I also encourage my teammates to write it actually on the picture, so then you can see okay, I always say, start with Business Center 1, which side's the weakest? This is how I train my team. I'm like, start with Business Center 1, which side's the weakest? The left side's the weakest. Now, go down to 2, because it's on the left, which side's the weakest? To right's the weakest. Okay, so I'm gonna put my customer there. Like, that's how I teach them the comp plan, or how to place people. And it's just really easy when they can see it on the weekly action plan. And then your new and or follow-up contacts, you don't have to put 10 people down. I mean, make that your goal. But what I like to do is not just write their name. I actually like to write what I'm gonna contact them about. What did they reach out to me about? And again, that way I don't have to think about it. It's just there in front of me. So I made up all these names. I was like Googling like girls' names. I don't know, did I put any guys on there? I don't know. I was like, I'm running out of names of people that like I don't know personally. Okay, so Mary Jackson, interested in Sell Essentials. Allison Young, I would need to contact her for the New Year program. Julia Williams, she's interested in our team. Stacy May, comment on Facebook, comment on her Facebook post. So I might just want to remind myself, hey, I just met this lady. Like I met that lady on the plane the other day. I want to remind myself, hey, go connect with her again, follow up with her, ask her how her trip to Florida was, things like that, you know? That, yeah, that's not actually selling someone a product, but that's building trust with that person. And then send shake samples to this person. And then preferred customers. So we actually have one for your preferred customers. These would be people that maybe they're already your preferred customers. The other people are people that you're trying to contact to enroll as a preferred customer. So again, it's really important, like we talked about yesterday, to stay in touch with your preferred customers. Don't just sign them up and then forget about them. So this is really helps you be very intentional about staying in touch with your preferred customers. So again, I made this up. Add Rebecca, Karen, and Kim to the program. Follow up with customers from the upcoming online event that we had. Check in with Molly to see how she's doing with her vitamins. Check to see if Heather received her products yet. Again, things like that. Did you get your products? How do you like them? Do you know how to take them? Send auto order reminder text to these people. So if it helps, if you're going to start doing the auto order reminder text to people, write those people down here. And then your business center strategy. So this next section is going to help you focus on your key legs. So Business Center 2 left, maybe you need to help Melissa and Katie with their online event. Business Center 2 right. And it gets you thinking about your team members that are also on those legs, right? So how could I help Lauren on her project leg this week? How could I help this person? Maybe 3 left is your weakest leg, so I'm going to place my new customers and associates here. And if you're working with a new team member, that's great because you can help them strategize their business legs, and when they start their week, they can say, oh, I already know, 3 left. That's where I'm going to place all my new customers this week. Again, so we're breaking all the things that you're learning here. This is where you're actually going to do it and apply it, okay? All right, and then the last one, I didn't fill this one out, but again, this is an activity tracker, and a lot of times I've seen people do this and they'll just write down, they'll put like one, like I talked to one new person. Give that person like a name so you'll know who they were, okay? So this will help you know, did I make any new friends this week? Did I invite people, expose people to the products, follow-ups? Again, so try to write those names down so then you can actually go back and put those in your follow-ups. Do y'all have any questions about any of that? Make sense? Are y'all going to do it? Yes? I want all of you to send me your weekly action plans next week. I'm totally kidding. Totally kidding. Send them to your sponsor. What? Mm-hmm. I like paper, but I mean, I'm sure there are people here that use the Google systems. Yeah, I like to write things down, see things, have it in front of me. I like real books to read. That's just my personality. But yeah, I like to write it down, scratch things out, check things off. And like, it's just in a cheap little plastic binder from Walgreens, and it works great. So very simple. I'm not fancy. And then, yeah. I do update it through the week. Mm-hmm. So there might be like, we try to fill ours out on Saturday or Sunday, just because that's the beginning of the week. But I will update it, yeah. So there might be somebody I meet, I put them down, and like I'm constantly working it during the week. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Not a lot. It doesn't take long. Maybe like 10 to 15 minutes. Yeah, not long. Yeah, you want to keep things simple for yourself or you're not going to do them. So it doesn't take long. And again, like my team will be like, it's not really full. It doesn't have to be full. Like if all you do is just fill out your volume or Like put a few like I just want you to do something. Like do something. I would rather you send me like a piece of paper with one name on it than not do anything at all. And this is what I tell people. If you will just do one thing every day for your business, one thing, okay? We get really overwhelmed and we think that I have to work 40 hours on this business. You don't have to. I have done one thing. Now, I'm making exceptions of like Sundays or being on trip with my family. But if you'll do one thing every day for your business, and even if I'm on vacation, I'm trying to ask people questions, get to know people. Those are again, building relationships. But it's like, it's this all or nothing attitude. And I'm a type A, I was a very driven person, but when I first started my business, I remember Dr. Hirschek told me, he's like, Lindsay, this is a marathon, not a sprint. Like, you can't try to kill yourself. Just pace yourself. Pace yourself. And I actually ran marathon. I ran the Chicago Marathon when I was in college, and after I had my second, Will, the guy that won the championship today, that kid. But yeah, so I ran marathons, and I was like, that really resonated with me because I'm like, I just have to focus on doing one thing, and it takes that pressure off. But you're gonna grow if you do one thing. Okay, I gotta keep going. So it's what you're doing is actually gonna help your business grow. So a lot of you know this. What we've taught you this week is income producing activities. So you can go back and refer to this, but you all know you need to be doing those income-producing activities. If you're not seeing results in your business, ask yourself, am I spending too much time on Facebook? Am I, just, again, updating my website every day or checking my volume report? So focus on those. You want to spend 40% of your time on income-producing activities, 40% of your time on training your team, doing things with them, and then 10% of your time on answering emails and errands. That's just a general. Do I measure my time like that? No. And I'm sure that's not my strength. So I'm working on this as well as y'all are. So again, then consistent action creates consistent results. These are a couple books that I would recommend getting. The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. So if you don't have anything for personal development right now, The Compound Effect is great. Andy Stanley, The Principle of the Path. It's all about getting from here to there, right? There has to be a path, and this is what we're doing for y'all here, is how do I take my USANA business from here to there, where you want to go. And then The One Thing by Gary Keller. He's the founder of Keller Williams. So I would really recommend that. He talks a lot about focusing on the one thing. There's a lot of things I could do. But if I start doing all the things that I want to do and could do, then I'm not going to do well at that one thing that I want to do. And he breaks it down daily, too, for you. My sister's actually dating his son. So I got that book, and he's awesome, and I really, really liked him, learning from him. So then The Compound Effect, this is again from Darren Hardy. You ask yourself, where do you want to be a year from now, a month from now, a year from now, 5 years from now? And it's not, there's no magic answer. It comes down in every area of your life, in your marriage, in your health, in this business. It comes down to what small decisions am I making every single day? And ask yourself, is this going to help me get to where I want to be? Or is it going to not? Is it going to take me down? And that's where everyone in life, you're going, and then all of a sudden you're like, yes, I made it. Or how did I get here? And it goes every single decision. And I'm going to close with this because a lot of y'all have heard this, but those of you who haven't, everyone goes, I love that analogy that you use. But and I'm not sure if it's true, I just remember reading it somewhere. But there's a Chinese, anyway, it's good. So I'm going to share it. So there's a Chinese bamboo plant, and there's a story of a woman and a neighbor, okay? So she goes out and she waters this plant. And right now it's underground, like you can't see anything. She waters it and waters it. Nothing grows out of the ground. Nothing. 2 years later, she keeps watering it, and the neighbor's just like, what are you watering? Like, why are you doing that? There's people in your life that are asking you, well, what are you doing? And you can see, you know that if you keep watering your business and if you keep doing these daily activities, you're going to see something grow. There's going to be growth. It's like inevitable. It has to grow, right? If you just be faithful to those daily things and those little things that you're doing. And so the bamboo plant actually, 5 years later, it just grows. And I think it grows like 80 feet in 3 months. And there was no growth. And then in 3 months, it was like 80 feet. And the reason is because if it grew too early and too fast, it would fall over. So what's happening in those first 5 years is that there's a root system that's growing underground, okay? And it's just like in your business. Some of you have just started. Some of you may have started 3 years ago, but you really haven't been taking it seriously. And you can't be a diamond director. God has to prepare you and give you those skills. Like if I had grown too fast in the beginning, I wouldn't have been able to handle the things that I have to deal with now. Does that make sense? So you've got to be patient and be willing and be faithful like that woman was who watered the plant. And just keep watering it and keep watering it. And some weeks you'll see growth and other weeks you won't see anything. But you got to keep watering it and you got to believe and know that if you keep doing that, then all of a sudden your business is going to grow. And that's exactly what happened in my business. What exactly? Does that make sense? And trust that God, in that time and being faithful to committing to what you want to do, He is preparing you to be able to handle more responsibility. Does that make sense? All right? So, use this weekly action plan. If y'all have any questions afterward, just let me know. I'll be happy to help you. And have a great lunch. Bye.